Good evening, good evening, good evening. We're back again for the tactical analysis show, but we're doing it a little bit different today. We picked the 90s and we're going to pick our best defenders from the 90s. But first, before we get cracking, introduce yourself. Everybody knows who you are, but come on, tell us who you are again, just in case
Yeah,
they don't know.
Kojo from the Free Midfield Podcast and FS Uncut. I should keep putting that in my flipping thing here, but I keep forgetting.
Yeah,
So forgive me,
Kojo's
casual
everywhere,
fixes.
man.
But yeah, I'm pretty much everywhere. Usman's channel, shout out Usman Talks United. Wherever. But yeah, primarily Free Midfield.
Yeah, definitely. Like one of the most knowledgeable football guys out there that don't just chat for the sake of
Appreciate that, man.
chatting. But
Appreciate
yeah,
that.
we're gonna get this cracking. This is probably the 90s is probably like one of the decade that for me personally, because I was born in the 80s, but for the 90s is when I first remember football. Um, I'll say 1998 is when I first like fully remember everything. That World Cup was just a mad thing.
Yes.
Um, and personally, I feel like in terms of genuine world class players, I don't think any era has hit the 90s again. Maybe early 2000s, but the 90s in terms of genuine world class players in every position, I don't think anything has hit as good as the 90s. And we're just going to talk about defenders today. What we're going to do is we're going to pick four defenders each. Um, Plus, we're going to do honorable mentions as well. So we're going to do our favorite. What we'll probably do is our best four, who we think are the best, and then the four that were our favorite for from that era.
Okay.
Um, so we'll start. I'll start with Kojo. Who have you got at right back?
Uh, I was stuck between, namely two of them, but
Yeah,
I've gone for Cafu.
yeah.
Now the reason I've gone for him is because if we want to do accolades first, because so basically the reason I'm looking at is because I spent time. I wrote a whole list for different people. Yeah, so I spent time. Um, the thing about Cafu was, all right, I think most of the 90s he spent it in Brazil, for Sao Paulo, where he was claiming everything. But
Yeah.
the reason why he was making his name across the world is because at Sao Paulo he was reaching levels that no one else could.
Yeah.
And if you watch the Brazil team, people getting excited about what Trent and Robertson are doing now, they were doing back
Hmm.
then with ease. It's just they don't have obviously the crazy numbers that these guys have now, but
Hmm.
it's because they played well, these guys play with players that score a lot of goals anyway and create a lot, but primarily in football those days, the goals and the assists were the job of the wingers. Those guys
Yeah.
helped bring that forward, and when they popped in with goals, they were quality goals or quality assists, and they're always on the edge of the box rather than maybe sort of out wide but near edge of the box kind of thing. But his level, he didn't drop his level from when he was young to when he was the oldest. Like his
Hmm.
level was consistent throughout. And it's one of those things when a player retires and you ask the question, why?
Hmm.
that's when you know for that's when you know you're like, okay, hold on. This guy is damn good. And not only was he fantastic defensively, but going forward is fantastic as well. So I've got to
Yeah.
give him a
For, for
shout.
for for me, if I felt anyone could just carry on going,
Mm,
um, it was Cafu, man. I just felt like he could have just carried on till he's like 60 and still be doing the mad team. Like,
yeah.
I feel like that's how good um, Cafu was for me. Big up Laurie in the building, man. Please, everybody, go follow Laurie on Twitter. Let's get him to over 100 now. Let him smash it, man. Biggest supporter out there. But yeah, Cafu, yeah, I don't think anyone in the world can argue with Cafu. And like you were saying about Trent and Robertson and all these sort of people, that's all well and good, but they don't do what they're actually supposed to do, like what they're actually hired to do. And obviously, it's no fault of Trent's, in my opinion, it's no fault of his because
Mm,
he was moved into that position. That wasn't his natural position. He's been moved into that position, but he's like you're a right back. Your first thing is to defend, and I think Cafu is one of the only right backs I can remember that had the perfect balance of the two, like
mm,
where he was a defender and he was getting forward on a mad one. There is one more player in there that I'm going to put when it gets to my turn. But yeah, no one can disagree with Cafu, man. Trust me. The way it's moving right now, you're definitely trying to get Cafu out of retirement and bring him in that right back position, man. Who have you got for? Let's go left back. Let's go straight to left back.
I have to go for my guy. This is my favorite, and I think for me, it's also the undisputed champ. It has to be, and I'll understand. I'll explain why I haven't put him centre back. I'll explain why.
I know.
It's
I think I know you're gonna.
It's Maldini.
Yeah.
Damn. What do I even say about this? Real talk. What do I actually say?
Yeah,
what do I say?
he's one of those players that you don't need to actually explain why you're putting him in there, but for the youngsters that have probably never seen him play, which is probably half of the people that watch, I don't know what we can say about Maldini, man. I'll say just go watch YouTube, man.
Yeah, literally. You know how we talk. You know how I know youngsters will understand this because it's the same for us as well. When YouTube first had this boom, and you saw, like, for example, Neymar coming on the scene on YouTube, and it was like, oh, who's this guy? Don't excite, don't gas him, whatever. And you had other players, so you had maybe like your Freddie Adus, and your you had like a video of a 14-year-old Messi at La Masia, like, who's this kid? Nah, he won't be special.
Yeah.
Listen, this guy, not only does he fall in the Messi / Neymar kind of category of YouTube guys doing their thing and then becoming superstars, because they're not YouTube footballers, they are superstars. This guy is not only a superstar, for me, he's the undisputed GOAT defender, period. If you want to learn how to defend in football, in any era, because if you want to question it, he played over 3 eras as well. Or 3 decades, I should say, rather, 80s, 90s, and the 90s. If you want to learn how to play, how to adapt every time the game changes, go and watch that man. Whether it's a left back or centre back, defending, no one comes close. And he timed his tackles, whether it was on the ground, standing, or whether it was on the ground, sliding. Tackles were perfection. And not only was he good at that, but he was also good going forward as well. Obviously, when you compare it, people be like, oh, okay, was he as good as Roberto Carlos? Was he as good as, let's put Robertson in there now, all that stuff, because of the numbers and all that. Again, no. But this is someone that was primarily a centre-back / left-back, so you don't expect those numbers.
It wasn't even, he didn't need to. That wasn't his job, innit?
Exactly.
And he was a right-footed player playing left-back when he did play left-back. Ballon d'Or twice, like he finished third twice. Like, that doesn't happen for centre backs, and I could see why Van Dijk was propelled up into it like that, but I don't think he ever reached the level as Maldini like that. For me, just any there would have probably have been 5 to 10 Italian defenders that we could have put in there.
Yeah,
that's how good they were, and there are going to be people that miss out. Cannavaro probably going to miss out for me, but Cannavaro was just top draw. I know a lot of people talk about people like Baresi and people like that, but I never. That was just before my time. They were just finishing as I was coming in. Ronald Koeman again. Obviously, people know that he's obviously the manager now at Barca, but great player as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, just Maldini, man. I just don't know what to say about him, man. Like, he's just that good, man, and he was that good at defending, which was his primary job, man. And that's what I miss about the 90s, is that the players just defended, man. Like, okay, you could get forward, set up a little goal, do cheeky this, do a cheeky that, but defend, man. And I think that's what Carlos and Cafu, that's why they're at the pinnacle, because they could do both. But yeah, he sends Zambrotta. I feel like Zambrotta is just a bit late, though. I feel like he started.
A shout, but
I think he's in more thousands, though.
Yeah, that's what I was
like
thinking.
2000s onwards. But Zambrotta was like, if anybody knows me, knows that Juventus is like probably my second team, and Zambro was like my favorite player, man. I just love that guy, man. So we've got We've got Maldini. Did you put in left back or centre back? Sorry,
Left back.
left back. Who's your first centre back?
I'm gonna go for probably the obvious one, Baresi. Now, the only reason I know about Baresi, I'm gonna explain this because obviously I'm 28, so people will be like, you didn't watch it properly.
Yeah.
Facts. The reason I know about Baresi is because my uncle. Sorry, hold on. Sorry about that. So the reason why I put Baresi in this because luckily for me, my dad had a lot of VCRs, video cassettes, so I was able to sit back with him and just watch old videos. And I don't know how he got a video of like Milan of that time, but my brother, and my other centre back is going to be with him, by the way, from that same team. I'm just going to say that right now. I'm spoiling it for people. I don't care. The records him and that Milan defense were setting and the way they were defending, I can genuinely tell you I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. And I'm talking about from when I was able to really watch football properly from 97 onwards and really understand what was going on. I have never in my life seen anything like it. And his defending, bro, sometimes things are not logical. It's like you're watching, it's like, how?
Yeah.
I stopped watching this video cassette in 2007. I had a DVD player and I still kept my old video cassette just because I wanted to watch that as a youngster. That's how good this guy was. It was incredible. Bear in mind, like when I started playing football, I played for a team called Royal Falcons, which was like my local team.
Yeah.
And growing up, I always wanted to be a striker. So when I was playing, I was scoring goals, whether that's for the school team or for like was playing with my boys or something. I never went in defense. I was always up front scoring goals. And I went training for the first time. I hit a hat trick in my first training session. I was excited. I wasn't the best in the team. My boy Sadiq was like clear of me, like he was ridiculous. But then I was told because I was one of two left-footed people at the team, and one left-footed player was playing left mid, and he needed someone at left back. So I get that lucky draw. I go for striker to be in left back. So I watched videos of Maldini and Baresi. Baresi, sorry.
Baresi, yeah.
And Baresi is just, other than Maldini, there's no one that comes close. I'll say it like that. Other than Maldini, there's no. Maldini is my undisputed goal just because he did it in two positions rather than one. But if you want to learn about this, there are people like Ronald Koeman, for example, excellent players as well, technical ability on lock as well. He was technical ability, defensive ability, reading the game, all of that in abundance. And again, this guy played from 77. If you can go from 77 to the 80s to the 90s and still dominate the way in the 90s that he dominated, I'm going to explain why later on, my other partner, why I put those two together.
Yeah.
Listen, it's not even, it doesn't even make sense. It's not logical. In this day and age, really and truly, bear in mind, you know how we celebrate Chelsea in 04-05, their defensive record? It's like this, but they did it 3 times for me, and that's insane. So he's part of that defense.
Yeah. One thing I want to add is that people don't realize who they were playing against. So although we have some very good players playing football now, and the defenders are not, I don't feel like there's many world-class defenders out there, but the forwards that they were playing against, just to name a few: Roberto Baggio, Del Piero, Romario, Gabriel Batistuta, Totti. Like, they weren't playing against chump change like Rivaldo, Georgie Hadji. They weren't playing against full people. They were playing against, and this is why I say the 90s and early 2000s are the best, because there were so many genuine world-class players, Raul was just starting, Eric Cantona. there was just like the list just goes mad. Like,
And you
I don't
realize about
think,
that as well is the variety of tactics as well. Like it wasn't just like a
yeah,
4-4-2
yeah,
thing. In those and I always say England is always behind, and you need someone foreign to come and change up. Like when Wenger came in and he started doing different things. Even Wenger's training, the way he conditioned players, it rattled people here. You know, like whether it was one attacker,
Mhm.
2 or 3, these men held it down. And if they were dealt with, if they were beaten, it's because they were beaten by quality. If
Yeah,
they made mistakes, it was like a oh my god moment. This person's actually made a mistake. It's not like it happens.
yeah.
Like we say now, it happens. You know, sometimes it
The
happens.
thing
Not.
is, that's the difference. Like when we're talking about these defenders, we don't ever say, "Oh, they had a mistake in them."
Mm-hmm.
Like when we talk about defenders now, like we'll say, "Oh, Van Dijk is the best," but if you do put a bit of pressure on him, you might be able to nick the ball. Like we didn't say that about any of these. For me personally, any of these guys that I've got, and I cut the ones that you've named so far, I don't feel they had that in them as well. So
No, not at all.
like this is why like people think we're just like we're joking when we saying that these defenders like in those eras, man, like man, you're playing against Gianfranco Zola every week. You're playing against Jurgen Klinsmann every week. You're playing against Michael Laudrup. I could name names. Like every time I think there's just a name comes to head, Rudy Vuller. Like there's just so many in it, and I just feel like that's where the only people. Obviously, we know Messi and Ronaldo are the pinnacle, but if you look at the step below that, there's not many. There's not many. There's not many. I don't think there's many. And we're trying to propel Mbappe and Haaland to that level, but they just don't stay, man. They don't stay. Who's your second centre back?
This one is one that's actually not mentioned a lot, so people are gonna have to take my time with giving me time for this one. Alessandro Costa Curta.
This is mad because I would have. Again, he was very close. I've chosen another two Italian defenders
Okay.
because I didn't think you'd choose Costa Curta, but I thought maybe because again, like he's talking about Football Italia. I used to watch Football Italia. He said it was boring. It was my favorite program, man. Like Go Lazio, like Saturday morning, I was there, just ready to watch that. And then when they showed the live match on Sunday, so yeah, I remember Costa Curta, AC Milan days, and there's just so many people that are just not even going to get close to this team, but they all deserve mention. But yeah, Costa Curta again just carried on. The Italian defenders carried on forever. That's what I didn't understand. Playing in the Champions League as well. It wasn't just like they were just full just carrying on in their league. They were playing for teams that are in the Champions League, so that wasn't no full behavior. So I see why you've gone Costa Curta. To be fair, I do.
Bro, like Champions League winners, or the Milan back four.
Yeah,
Tassotti. I saw videos of him as well, but I couldn't put him over Cafu.
yeah.
Obviously. Funny enough, Cafu also played for Milan later on, so it's funny. I pretty much got a Milan back four. But the thing about Costa Curta is this. I'll put it to you like this: Maldini, Costa Curta, Baresi, and Tassotti. Yes, there'll be different seasons where maybe it was a different combination of the two or mix of a back four, but those guys were constants. Costa Curta spent his whole career in AC Milan. I can't remember the years exactly. They're definitely in the 90s, but I can't remember the years exactly. There was one year where they conceded 21 goals only, and then there was another year where they conceded 14 only, and then the year after only 15. And then within that period also, they went on a 58-game unbeaten streak.
Man.
Bro, what do I have to say? Like, what can I say to these men?
Yeah.
And, like, I remember these things so much and so clearly just because, like, when you watch these things, and my football knowledge, I believe my football knowledge is good, but there's certain things that you'll always forget. You'll forget numbers. You'll forget you'll get numbers wrong. You'll get all those kind of things wrong. But those numbers stuck in my head so much because they just didn't make sense to me. Like in this day and age, we talk about home games and our long runs. So Liverpool, for example, went on a phenomenal unbeaten home run at home. So did Chelsea for a long time. Mourinho himself as a manager, went on a long run of unbeaten games at home as a manager. Like, their numbers are insane. So I give them that. But when it comes to unbeaten, we talk about Arsenal. And I think back in the day, I don't remember how many day one was, but I think Nottingham Forest did like an unbeaten record as well at some point.
Yeah.
And obviously Celtic went the season unbeaten under Brendan Rodgers. So those are two clubs anyway, Arsenal and Celtic, because they're more modern. No one really talks about Forest because that's back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day.
But this one, the reason why it sticks out is because, bro, look at the names you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the caliber of players they played against. And yes, they didn't play against Baggio every week. Maybe they played against someone else and he wasn't as good as Baggio, of course, or Gabby, I think Batistuta, Gabigol, or any of those guys. Fine. But when you came up against these guys, you still went away with a W or a draw. You weren't.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. They were coming up against these guys a lot more than people think, because obviously Juventus had Ravanelli and Vialli. If you look at Sampdoria, at one stage they had Vialli. Parma had Zola and Faustino Esprilia.
Yeah.
So like they was like 7 or 8 teams with banging strikers, and for these guys to do that against top legit strikers, it's just mad. Like I've got a couple of players, fours from Twitter.
Okay.
Steve gave me Cafu, Maldini, Ferrara, sorry, who played for Juventus, one of my favorite players.
Yeah.
And Dennis Elwin, and that's a Liverpool fan as well, you know. So
okay,
that's how high he rated him. My boy Mitchell gave us Maldini, Thuram, and Lizarazu. And who was his other one? He only gave me 3 players. There's one missing.
So I guess Thuram would be, if he was doing the back four, Thuram would be a centre back then, because
like he's missed out, so he's not giving me the extra player there.
Okay.
Darren gave me again. He's only given me 3: Maldini, Cafu, and Baresi.
Okay.
And then obviously you gave me one, and then I've got another Maldini, Ronald Coleman, Baresi, and Desailly, which Desailly was just mad. Desailly was mad. But yeah, I can't disagree with your 4. Like, I mean, it's hard to disagree with anything, to be fair. But for me, for my 4, so I'm gonna do my 4. Then we're gonna go back to your 4 favorite players, and then I'll do my 4 favorite, and then it should give us different players, I think. So Carlos, obviously Roberto Carlos. I think he played. How many games did he play for Real Madrid?
Quite a lot. I can't remember the number exactly.
400, something stupid like that.
He was there from the 90s.
And over 100 games for Brazil. So obviously he won the World Cup, Confederations Cup, Copa America, and then all the trophies with Real Madrid. So, and then obviously with the free kick. But again, what it was with the Brazilians is that their energy that they had and their ability to defend and attack. And yeah, I don't know, man. Robertson and Trent are the closest to Cafu and Roberto Carlos, but they're not on that level. I don't think they'll ever be on that level just because of the defensive duties. I don't think they're ever going to get to that level, to be fair. Because if you don't have it by now, will you be able to get it? And is Klopp setting you up to learn how to do it? I'm not quite sure. But Carlos, just every time I watched him, I just thought he was going to score as well. Like, he was just that deep, man. Like, Roberto Carlos was just a beast. My right back was originally Cafu, but because you went Cafu, I'm going to give you my backup right back, and it was Javier Zanetti. I just remember just watching Inter Milan and Football Italia, and again, he's another one that went over 2-3 decades, man. Like, the guy that he played 1,000 games for Inter Milan.
That's insanity.
He made 800. Like, I've got it written down here. He made 858 appearances for Inter Milan.
Ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Captaining the side for 13 of the 19 seasons. Wow. And even at the end, he then went and won the Champions League. and that was him coming to the end. He won the Champions League when Mourinho came in, and that was him coming to the end. So just on that basis, like I knew he was. I wouldn't say he was over, but when Henry done his thing at the San Siro, that was the only time I remember Zanetti just looking like chump change, man. Was that? But that was Thierry Henry, and
that's Thierry Henry.
Yeah, you can't really knock a man because it was Thierry Henry. But Zanetti, yeah, that he was just so good, man, and it was a toss up between him and Cafu, but because you went Cafu, I'm going. Did you go Cafu? You didn't go Cafu, did you?
Right back, yeah, I did.
Oh, you did go Cafu, yeah. So I went Cafu. The centre backs were tough because I'll tell you who the four I had for my centre backs.
Okay.
Was Tony Adams, Nesta, Maldini, and Yap Stam. I did want to put Desai in there, but I went Yap Stam just because of 98, 99. Because of that season and winning a treble, I had to put him in there. So I'm gonna flip it. Yeah, I'm gonna go Tony Adams and Stam.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Tony Adams and Stam because, Stam was the first. I mean, you had Pallister and you had Bruce. So you had good defenders. Ron Johnson as well, good player. But Stam was the first one that I remember coming to the Premiership where I thought, okay, we can actually. I know people talk about Dennis Bergkamp and stuff like that, but he was the first defender that I remember coming to the Premiership and just being like, this guy, this is mad. Because I know Desai came, but he was a bit old, like he was getting to the end. But when he came, it was just like, okay, Man United are going to start doing the madness now because he seemed like he was the missing piece of the puzzle. And then lo and behold, you guys will win the treble. So on that basis, and obviously what he done for Holland and so forth, like he was just mad. But obviously, I've got to put Tony in there because Adams, again, 3 decades.
Yeah.
3 decades. So he won the league, obviously at Anfield in the 89 team. Then won the league with Arsenal again in 91, where we only lost 1 game. And again, that started the whole 1-0 to the Arsenal. And then won the Premiership again when Arsene Wenger came in.
He scored the goal.
And scored the goal against Everton. And
that celebration.
You know what? Like you're saying about Wenger and his training, you know, he actually made Tony Adams a complete player. As good as Tony Adams was a defender, he made him a complete player in the sense that all of a sudden Tony Adams looked like he could play football. Like he could be that ball playing centre back as well. I was going to say we never replaced him, but I feel like we did replace him when we got Sol Campbell. Because I think in terms of who was able to marshal a defence and it was just a never say die attitude. Campbell for those three years, like when he first came, was just crazy. But yeah, just like for captain wise as well, man, it was mad. It was mad. And it just it upsets me every time I think about it. Like just when we're just talking about Maldini, when we're talking about Cannavaro, when we're talking about Baresi, when we're talking about whoever, Luther Matthäus and people like that. And now these guys are they're the guys that filled our teams. So like Yapstam, Rio Ferdinand, Vidic, they filled our teams. Now we're looking at it and we've got Maguire, got David Luiz, got Lindelof, had Mustafi, and it's just like what has happened? How have our teams dropped so low in terms of being able to recruit like good centre backs, but how has the art of defending dropped so low that you're sort of looking at your defenders, as I said earlier, I'm thinking, okay, he's got a mistake in him, or he's not good at this, or he's not good at that. it's just mind boggling. And as much as people saying that players are getting better,
Agree.
yeah, I don't think they can defend as well as they used to be able to. Um, yeah, so now we're gonna flip it and give me your 4 best defenders.
So these
Oh
are the
no,
favorites, yeah.
yeah, penalty to Benfica, man. What is going on?
Oh,
Yes,
my team got the job done earlier. I forcefully watched that. I didn't want to watch it, but I did in the end. My favorites. Ooh, where shall I start? Which position?
Start with left back.
All right. So the one I probably did enjoy the most probably was Roberto Carlos, actually. Because of course, again, he's not as complete as Maldini was for me, but I've never had so much joy watching a guy go forward with the number of crazy assists, the strikes. I've never seen someone hit a ball so clean.
I mean, just that whatever that what do they call it? That banana kick thing or whatever that was.
Yeah, that was absolutely insanity. I say to this day, he absolutely meant. I don't care if people say it's a fluke. I don't care. He just kicked whatever. He meant to find Zinedine Zidane for that volley. I don't care what anyone tells me. Even if even if Roberto Carlos tells me himself, he didn't mean it. He meant that. There's another crazy goal that he scored where the ball sort of like running. So like remember when it's from a much further distance. But remember when Maicon scored that goal in the World Cup when he was on the line. But Carlos did one way before when he sort of was by far and he sort of banged it and it swerved straight into the back of the net. The guy's ability to strike a ball was absolutely insanity. And for the way he played, and what upsets me about his tenure at Madrid is, don't get me wrong, he achieved a lot with Real Madrid. I'm not taking that away. He actually achieved a lot at Real Madrid. But I think when the Galactico era started, like properly, he could achieve so much more. But there was a lot that was wrong with that era and the way they built their teams. Because they still managed to win league title here and there. But if that team was built properly, they would have won every league title. You know what I'm saying? That's how much I rated them. That's how highly I thought of that team. And that's how high I thought of him because I didn't think there was a left back that is even good. The only one that comes close to him from Brazil's era, in my opinion, as a left back is Marcelo. Marcelo is not great defensively, but going forward, Marcelo is absolutely phenomenal. He can't hit the ball the same way Carlos did. That's fine. That's football. You're going to do it the same as anybody else, but he's the only one that I can think of that comes close in Brazil. If there's anyone that knows different, please tell me. Yeah, man, what a left back. So that's my favorite. That's my favorite, absolutely.
And other side.
Right back. You know what? People I think I'm going to do a bit of bias here, but it's not. I'm going for Gary Neville.
Yeah, no, I mean it's your favorite. Like obviously this one's your favorite, so it's more likely to be the players that you saw week in week out, isn't it?
But anyways, I'll explain why because obviously I have favorites with reason. You know what I mean? I always have what they did. Firstly, I understand why he's called like a proper defensive right back because that's what he was. He could play the centre back sometimes. Defensively, he was a tough tackler. When someone was getting past him, he would essentially assertively take them down and let them know that you're not getting past again. He kind of put fear into his opponents when they were attacking him because they knew that he was not afraid to just go through you. But he became so good. I wouldn't say complete. Complete's far. But he's starting to improve. He's going forward. And I think that's the biggest part of his game that's underrated. Once you go into that right wing with Beckham, obviously with Beckham's delivery, you don't really feel like you need to go forward too far. You give the ball to him, you'll find his target in the box. But how many of Gary Neville's crosses were not accurate? There's not many. You can't tell me many that weren't accurate. They found their man. When he made that overlap and he received the ball back from Beckham, or if Beckham played to the middle and it went to Gary Neville, more time he found his partner or the person they were supposed to find. And whether they scored or not doesn't matter. The fact is that he did his part. The guy was so close to being my favorite. He's not even my favorite right back in Premier League history, and that's only because I feel like after maybe 2003, the injury started to hit him differently. And I feel like if he in his experienced years started to keep going onwards, then no one would have come close. Obviously, he received a lot of accolades about playing a big part in like 2007, 2008, 2009, like, for example. But man, as a right back, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Did everything I wanted to do and more. So yeah, G-Nev, that's my boy.
Yeah, Saka's just got an equaliser.
Oh, that was quick.
Yeah, straight away,
That was
bro.
quick.
Like 2
Fair
minutes later.
enough. Fair enough.
I just realised this has gone out mad. So if you're watching, it's not the Benfica versus Arsenal preview, like it says. I don't know why it says that.
Oh,
Like on Periscope here, it's coming up that this is the Benfica Arsenal preview. It's
okay.
not. It's the tactical analysis show where we're not actually analysing any tactics today because we wanted to do something different. Who was your other player?
For right
You
back.
got two centre backs. You got two centre backs. Sorry.
Oh, my centre backs. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I mean.
So I think you noticed when you said his name earlier, I smiled. Desai.
Yeah.
See this guy, yeah. So he went to Milan as well. He won Champions League with them as well. He was brilliant for Milan, and he played as a midfielder, I believe, in that team.
Yeah, that's 100%
but
true.
People actually forget that at Marseille he won the Champions League as well. He won it in 1992. Now, the thing about Desai is this: no matter, and I will say this now. If people that are listening, they may think I'm a bit mad, but I hate the term confidence player. Every player needs confidence to go out there and exert their quality. So no matter who you are, if your confidence is on zero, you are not going to be the same guy.
Yeah.
But with Desai, I genuinely don't remember a time, whether it was through the best times of Marseille or the worst times, the best times of Milan or the worst times, the best time of Chelsea or the worst times. There was not a time where I looked at this guy and thought, you lack confidence. Not once. Not once. Defensively, absolutely ridiculous. It kind of annoys me sometimes that he's not really mentioned among the greatest because he has a place at that table. Even if it's not top 5, I don't care. The fact is, as a defender, tackling, marking, in the air, on the ground, and if you're talking about technical ability, the fact that he could play midfield and play it perfectly well as well, technically was brilliant. His reading of the game in all aspects. In fact, I'll put it to you like this. If you're playing Foot Manager and you got your technical, your mental, and your physical, apart from maybe shooting because he wasn't the best shooter, and maybe the best and crossing because he didn't play on the wing, nothing goes below 15, and maximum is 20. So that tells you everything I need to say. The guy was that good. The guy was that good. The guy could not be shaken. The guy was a rock for 3 separate clubs. Obviously, going from Milan to Chelsea at that time was a step down because that Milan team compared to Chelsea back then was not levels, but he was accomplishing. Let me get I wrote down his accolades. I need to remember what he won. So obviously 2 Champions Leagues, 1 Serie A with Milan, and obviously FA Cup with Chelsea. But then also put in there the fact that he's won the World Cup and the Euros, 98, 2000, that legendary France team. And he was one of the linchpins of that team. The guy deserves all the accolades plus more. And when I'm rating that highly a Chelsea player, I'm not doing favorite for no reason. That guy, man. I wish he was there when Mourinho came in. Like I think he had left by then. He had retired.
Yeah.
He deserved the Premier League title, man. He deserved the Premier League title, really.
110%, man.
And my last one, I was stuck between 2, but I'll give it to Yap Sam.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Steve Bruce because as much as I destroy him as a manager, as a player, as a defender, the guy was incredible.
Yeah.
But for what Yap Sam did, he played for Ajax as well, didn't he? He was in part of the Ajax team.
Yeah, part of the Ajax team, yeah.
He was part of the Ajax team, yeah. Listen, for anyone that never saw the Ajax team, go and watch. That's what I'm going to say. And anyone that didn't see 1998, 99, go and watch and you'll see. We won. He was there, 3 years?
Yeah.
3 Premier League titles, and a Champions League.
Mad.
I don't know what else I have to say, and
Yeah, that's why I had him there.
Yeah, and I usually the guy's not the prettiest guy. So when people rate defenders that are tall and big and they got the ugly mug, someone said to me, you just described Yep Stam, and I was sitting there, I was like, he is tall, he's big, and he is ugly. Yeah, I just did describe him, but at least as a player, he was incredible. And DP as well. Not only did he leave United for was it Parma that time, and he went Parma to Milan.
Yeah.
Not only did he
leave United, drug, isn't it?
Yeah, as he got older, he somehow still improved and kept his level. Another one of those players that when they retire, you're like, you really didn't need to, bro. Like you could have just stayed and continued doing your thing. It's a shame that he hasn't worked out as a manager. But yeah. Anyway, that's my favourites. Him and the Saï centre back. I don't think you beat that centre back player in with your most teams. So
yeah. Obviously, I'm going to do what you done, and obviously you're going to pick your two favorite or my 4 favourites. But obviously, I want to pick my left and right back. That were my favourites, and obviously very, very biased, but they are Lee Dixon and Nigel Winterburn.
Yeah.
They're like, I just remember growing up, and I just thought our defense, like even when we was bad, that's all we had was a defense. Like we didn't have anything going forward. We just had a defense, and those two were part of it up until Wenger came. So pretty much from 88 to 98, though that was 10 years of them plus Adams and Boulder, Adams and Keown. And again, they're very underrated, especially Dixon, because Dixon was really, really good. Yeah. Like, again, with the crossing, like you're saying about Neville, he didn't put in bad crosses. He was our penalty taker for up until Wrighty came as well. So he used to take penalties for us as well. Winterburn was just a little rat, man. Like, he was just up for a fight all the time. And I think I was going to say we missed that, but we didn't because we had Ashley Cole straight away. So it was like, it was a fair swap in it. And those two, man, they just, again, the first thing was to defend. And what they used to do was cut the crosses, which defenders don't do now, is cut the crosses out. When we was at the top of our game, sometimes they would allow the cross because they knew that Adams and Bold or Adams and Keown or Adams and Linnegan, whoever was playing centre back, were going to get the ball out. So they may obviously if they know that the striker that they're playing against hasn't got aerial ability, they would let the ball get crossed in and, Adams or whoever would deal with it. But those two just go down as my favourite. Obviously, Ashley Cole, we know, but that's 2000s. But yeah, those two are my favourites. The two centre-backs I've gone with, Nesta and Cannavaro. Like, those two are both just... And again, you know what? It's the fact that they played for 20 plus years. Like, that just doesn't happen, like, at a high level as well. And just in the 90s, they both won the UEFA Cup, quite young, one with Parma, one with Lazio. They were like both playing over 30 games a season at a young age as well, which again, in the centre-back position, that doesn't really happen, to be fair. And he wasn't the biggest of centre-backs, to be fair, Cannavaro. Like, he wasn't like a massive dominating centre-back. Yeah, he wasn't like a massive dominating centre-back, which I love because it was pretty much like a little and large sort of partnership between them two.
Yeah.
Because Nesta was like 6'2", and Cannavaro was like 5'8", 5'9". And the teams that they played for, Real Madrid, Lazio, Inter Milan, Parma, AC Milan, in Italy they didn't really have no loyalty in it. Like players were just like Edgar Davids played for. Didn't he play for all of them?
I think he did actually. Yeah, all the big boys.
Yeah, Seedorf as well. Like just no loyalty between the players over there, man. But those two, and they had great 90s, but got better in the 2000s as well. So both of them started in the 80s, played through the 90s, and got better in the 2000s. It was Cannavaro that was up for Ballon d'Or, wasn't he?
He
Did he
won
win
it.
it? He won it, didn't he?
Won it. 2006
So,
when he won the World Cup.
yeah, so he won it. So that just shows the level that they both are at, because they both could play ball as well. So it wasn't just defending; they can both play football. And I just don't think you can beat Italian defenders. Like, for me personally, I just don't think. I don't think they are beaten. I know you had Ferdinand and Vidic who took the game to another level. Um, you just had John Terry that was just body behind the ball all the time. But in terms of playing ball, tactics, the offside trap, all of that sort of stuff, man, I just don't think you get better than Italians. And Nesta and Cannavaro, man, that was just my partnership, man. And that's why I just always, I mean, once England, I knew England weren't winning Euros or World Cup, that Italy was like my next team, just because of the way they defended, man. And then when Arsenal started getting all the French players, then I started obviously following France in it. But yeah, man, I just wish there was defenders like that now. I know you had like sort of Chilean players like that, and they're all coming to that end. You had Sergio Ramos, but I don't know if they were that good, like top, the level that these guys are at.
It's for me. I think those guys, like those two that is I was talking about those two in particular. I think they were that good. I think Ramos, unfortunately for him, his red card record does not speak greatly for him.
Yeah,
but the guy is a colossal defender.
I think his personality just makes him an idiot, innit? Like,
I like his personality. I've always loved arrogant footballers. That's why I love Thierry Henry, despite disappointing Man United. I love the fact that Thierry Henry could score a free kick, look into a camera in the distance, and look at the referee and ask them, "Is that enough?" I like that arrogance. I like the fact that Sergio Ramos I will do anything by any means necessary to win. I call him football's Triple H. That's what I call him. Triple H in WWE.
Thing was like that, innit? Pepe. Anything to win in it.
Pepe is more like who was a super reckless wrestler that just didn't care. Like, would just throw his body and
like
try
Stone
to
Cold and that.
Yeah, like Stone Cold. Like, just the anti-hero. You want to hate him, and then when there's something reckless, you're like, oh, look at this guy, but you laugh because you also enjoy it. Like, that's what Ramos is to me. It's Triple H. Like, is Triple H, when you watch WWE, he'll get his sledgehammer out of nowhere. He built teams around him to help him win. When the World Heavyweight title went to the WWE, it was handed to him and he took it. And he called himself the champion and he was putting in history. That's the kind of thing I love about a player. I want him to win at all costs. So when, for example, when they play Juventus and Cuadrado stamped on the ground next to him, and he acted as if he stamped in his foot and then his foot was broken, like, Cuadrado got a red card. I remember I went to a house to watch, and me and my boys, they were all pissed off. I was the only one like this. I don't care. Win the game. But more than anything, he's a colossal. For me, he's a colossal defender. More than anything, he's a leader.
Yeah,
and he scores goals from set pieces. That's whether that's taking a free kick or scoring a header. He's good for the penalty spot as well. Technically, he's excellent. But what's happened, in my opinion, I'll just try and keep it short because there's times where I can just ramble on about this. It's Pep Guardiola's fault, but it's not Pep Guardiola's fault. And what I mean is the way defending in football has changed. And what I mean by that is when he had that great Barcelona side, the way they played the ball out from the back, everyone, or I'll say 90% of football tried to start copying that trend. But the one thing they forget is that he had Piqué and Puyol at the peak of the powers. You couldn't get past them.
But even when they were top, there was time Mascherano was playing centre back as well.
Exactly, Mascherano was there.
That's what said to me that this is some different kettle of fish, and
exactly.
This is what my issue now with Liverpool is if you've got the players that you've got, you put anyone that can play centre back. So if they're youth players or whatever, you put them there, and then you play your best team going forward.
Mm.
And I think you win most games. But when you take out your two best midfielders and put them in defence, you're essentially covering 4 places now because you've got 2 players that don't usually play there. So that's like your 2 players down-ish. And then you've got 2 players that you wouldn't necessarily play in midfield that play how your team actually plays. So we've seen like Thiago and that come in, and it's just not the same, is it? He doesn't know how to play 100-mile-an-hour football. He
That's the
just
thing,
knows.
though. I don't even think Liverpool play 100 miles football anymore. But I
But I think
100%
it's because they
agree.
can't. Because I don't think they can. When they have everyone fit, they do.
But
Like
it's good.
against the
But it's
yeah.
good because, like, the thing about Liverpool is, I agree. They should get Fabinho and Henderson back into that midfield because I understand, yes, when you're missing your 2 centre backs and the other guys and obviously Matip, you can't really rely on him because of fitness. But you've signed another centre back right now in Kabak, so they've got one there. Thing is, when you are missing centre backs in this era of football right now, where defending from 99.9% of football is trash, and it is what it is. You can afford to not play your centre backs because really and truly, how many of them are better than the ones that you'd put in there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the people were laughing at was it Williams or Phillips? I can't remember which one of the 2 the centre backs that people were laughing at making mistakes as a young kid. And I was like, even me, I said when we beat them 3-2 in the cup, I was like, he was left to suffer because he didn't know what to do with himself. But then I'm like, hold on. The other thing that you guys are complaining about and saying that he was poor in this, the experienced Premier League defenders we watch now, they do the same thing, if not worse. So you can afford to let these guys suffer here and there if it means you have your best midfield and best attack going. Because then Fabinho as the defensive midfielder is impenetrable. Jordan Henderson in the midfield is key for Trent because when Trent goes, he covers him. Henderson only goes forward when they're winning 1-2-0 and they know that they can do what they want, and then he just adds to the attack. So why wouldn't you go back to type? You know what I mean? Just forget about this. I know your centre backs are, but Alisson is still there as a goalkeeper. Just make do. When Matip is fit, you play Matip, and you play another centre back there. Do not play 2 midfielders that you need in the middle of the pitch there, because Thiago is a brilliant player. Cool. But then Oxlade-Chamberlain has not improved since Arsenal.
Yeah.
Keita looks like he's never going to settle and he keeps getting injured. Curtis Jones is a good player, but he's not going to give you that defensive protection you're looking for either. At least with the midfield with Wijnaldum as well, you had 3 midfielders that could at least go forward and go back. They had the cohesion and the ability to do both, even if it wasn't to the highest of levels, doesn't matter. They could do that. But you've torn that away because you lost 2 centre backs. So for me, there's no excuse from them. They should have ran with it and just kept those guys in midfield and gone with it. Because to be honest, I was even trying to tell another Liverpool fan recently, I was like, you're talking about centre back pairings being lost, that's destroyed your season. But after lockdown, or even before lockdown, you were exposed by Atletico Madrid. After lockdown, you weren't in good form, and I understand coming back from lockdown, no one was in top form straight away, of course, but you didn't improve defensively. You came into the new season, your first game against Leeds, you conceded 3 goals. Your best centre-back made a horrific mistake that led to a goal. You had a fully fit team when you lost 7-2. Like, these are not things that were happening when Van Dijk and Gomez got injured. They were happening when they were there. So when they got injured,
it started from when we beat them at the Emirates last season. When Alisson
and he made a mistake in that game as well.
Both of them made a mistake in that game.
There you go.
And I said that Alisson has been making mistakes, but they usually win, so you don't really notice them, innit?
Exactly.
But yeah, that's what I was saying. This is where we get back to the guys that we used to talk about. They may make one mistake a season, if that. But these guys make quite a few, but their team always pull them out of the mud. Ben's saying, is Silva up there? Thiago Silva, is he up there with the greats?
For me, that's a tough question actually, because I actually do rate Thiago Silva highly. Actually, yeah, I do. With the greats, I wouldn't put him next to the greats, but I rate him highly just because I think the one thing that goes against him, which I don't like, is people talking about the fact that he spent a lot of his years in France.
In France,
he played in League 1. But I'm like, you can cuss him out for playing there, but how many defenses here in that era of time that he was there were better than the ones there? Because I saw a steady decline, like bit by bit. I just saw defenses getting worse and worse and worse. And now I can't really tell you, like, we're getting excited, for example, about Upamecano. And I've sat there before and I've watched him, like, he can't defend.
Mistaken. He just can't play out the back end.
I feel like his partner's better than him. And he made a catastrophic mistake recently as well. Yeah. So, like, for Thiago, I would put him up there. I think he's still one of the old school defenders. I still think he defends like an old school defender. Yeah. The only thing that's going against him now is obviously age, but that's natural. Yeah. But
so
he's
bang it out.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, he's brilliant, man. I love watching him. What I would give to have him, considering the mess that I have to watch. Yeah, I would love to have him in my team. So yeah, that's for me. Yeah, for me, he's brilliant. He's brilliant, absolutely.
I love that. But yeah, Kojo, thank you for coming on again and giving us your picks there. Next week, I don't know if we're solely going to do just long range shooting, because I don't know how you can drag that out for an hour. So we need to think about that one. But yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about the long range shooters, where you had Recoba, had both Janinios, Roberto Carlos,
Totti,
Raquelme, is it not Recoba? Rockenbach that went to Man City.
Fabio Rockenbach. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I think we can make that one stretch. I think we can make that one. I thought we couldn't, but now I'm thinking about it, and it's all coming back to me.
I'm even thinking about my favorite long range goals ever. I've already got like 3 swimming in my head.
Batistuta.
Even in this country, you had Scholes, Lampard, and Gerrard.
Scholes, Lampard, you can fling Beckham in there because. Listen, we had. Next week is going to be a banger. Long range shooting. Long range shooters. But everyone, thank you for rolling with us. Ben, everybody that's come in, left messages. Let me get his socials back up there. Please go follow Kojo on Free in Midfield podcast and all the other things he's doing. Obviously, I'm Big Gunner TV on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Just make sure that you keep hitting that like button and the subscribe button, because slowly going up. So hopefully, man's gonna start getting paid in it. Cause 9 to 5 ain't working for me right now, boy. But yeah, let me go. Now I'm gonna quickly go watch the rest of this Arsenal match as well. So everybody, have a good evening. Remember to social distance and just be nice, man. That's all you gotta do in life, man. Be nice. If you've got nothing nice to say, keep stumming it. All right, bro. Everyone, have a good evening.